family, followers, customers, clients, audience, all the above. Welcome to episode, I think, number 5 or 6 in a row of the Stability and Opportunity podcast. We've been doing them daily, and we've been trying to keep up with the market, keep up with the trends, keep up with what's being saying and done. So that way, if you're worried, concerned, or looking to make a bold move in this market, that you're hearing what's happening by agents, coaches, trainers. And so if you're concerned and want to know, this is the place to watch and learn. I've got Joe Rosen, who's been on the show, been with us before as a live prospector. And so he's part of the Ricky Carruth clan, and he's always among some of the best people in the industry. He does what everyone says they should. He does what everybody should do, which is surround themselves with the best in order to become the best. And so that's why he's back here with us. He's based out of Florida, and we're going to be getting into what he's doing, what he's saying to stay positive, to stay focused, to stay productive during these times. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Joe Rosen.
It's my pleasure, my man. Staying busy lately. How you guys doing?
I would say that we have taken things to the next level. I would say mirroring, to really truthfully answer that question. We're doing what we're prescribing everybody watching this do, which is that get clear and get connected. And so we're reaching out to our sphere of influence, actually, if you want to think about it that way. You coming up tomorrow, we're going to have, I think, Ricky Carruth on the show, Jason Morris, a bunch of great names, Dirk Seller. The lineup is building. And so we're doing what we're prescribing everybody else does, which is build your alliances, create amazing content that adds value to the market during this time. And that's pretty much what I realized is what the action plan has been from the last couple of episodes.
That's a good action plan, man. Yeah. You know, I've talked with, I saw my boy Jay on the other day. I love Jay Kinder, and we've done some stuff together, and hopefully we'll do some more together. But, you know, right now it really comes down to, like, I've got a list of things that I'm doing to keep myself in front of people right now. But when it comes down to it, the most efficient, effective thing you can do is voice to voice. And, you know, cold calls for some people is tough. Then, okay, fine, do door knocking. Right now, you can't do door knocking.
Right.
You need to be on the phones, period. Like, there just isn't another option. And I'm in a lot of real estate groups on Facebook, and you'll hear people say, you know, cold calling doesn't work, which I've got the numbers to prove that's not true. But, you know, I feel your pain, baby. But you got to make the calls. And when you make the calls, things just happen. They just do, and you start to fill your funnel. And there's no better excuse than right now to make your calls. So, you know, I would say the biggest thing that you need to do is you need to make your calls. And when you make the calls, as always, but now more so than ever, the intent isn't, hey, can I help you buy or sell a house? Mm-hmm. The intent is, what's going on in your world right now? And you don't even have to ask them, because honestly, they're going to tell you. Yeah. They're going to just let things flow out of their mouth, and they're going to tell you exactly what their problems are. And your only response is to listen like you would want to be listened to, and to ask them how you can help. And I had a gal the other day who actually went off for about 5-10 minutes, and her biggest issue was, I don't know where to find toilet paper. So I just walked her through the stuff that I've seen, and hey, this is who you can call, this is what you can check out, these are the apps I'm using, would you like me to email you something? That kind of shit. We didn't talk about a house once.
What kind of lead was this?
Geo leads. That's right now. You guys do such a phenomenal job giving so many doggone geo leads. I can't call them all every month. You know, you say we're giving 2,000, which is honestly underselling yourselves, because you're getting an average of 2.5. That's what I'm getting. 2.5 phone numbers per lead. That's 5,000 numbers. I'm not calling 5,000 people a month. That's crazy. So for $50, I mean, that's the cheapest way you can get in front of. Like I said, I'll never call 4,000 or 5,000 people in a month. That's nuts. So I really think that that's important. And I also think it's important right now to go back in your CRM. You know, if your CRM's like my CRM, you've got people you got to call in a week. You got people you got to call in a month. You got people you got to call in 6 months. Forget that. Right now, just start calling all of them. And again, you're not asking them if you can help them buy or sell. You're asking them, how's your life? How's this impacting you? Is there anything I can do to help you? Did you know that I knew ABC and I learned about this new law, or I learned about loan deferrals, or I learned about whatever? I've got a link. Can I give it to you? And it'll help you out.
You know, that's part of what these shows are trying to capture. You just hit the nail on the head. And so I want to let everybody know who's watching this right now every single one of these episodes, behind the scenes, the RedX content team is listening to things that Joe is saying, things that Jay Kinder is saying, things that Colton Lindsay is saying, things that everybody is saying, and trying to find the most actionable tips. And we're creating a guide on the fly. And eventually, if you're on the list right now to watch this and get the updates daily, we're going to send you that guide, the PDF. It's being built as we speak. So when you register, you'll get that. So we want to make sure that we get to talk to you, Joe, and all the great people out there to bring the energy, to raise the level of enthusiasm. I've got my shirt on from Tony Robbins. It says, make a move, make a move.
Yeah, baby.
He does that thing, make a move, right? So, he says, winter's coming, winter's here. And he's like, now that's why we named this show the Stability and Opportunity Podcast or series, because in this chaos, in this crisis, there's new ways to look at things. And every single person that we bring on, such as you, is illuminating what those things are and what they can be. So I just want to reassure everybody watching that we're creating an action guide as we speak, and things like you just mentioned, I'd actually like to spend a little bit more time going into, so that way both the audience watching this live right now and the team behind the scenes has a good description of what they can then document for everybody. So you're talking about being that source of information. You're calling up GeoLeads, step one. I was actually going to say, it doesn't matter what program you use. Everybody comes on here and talks about our products. Thank you so much. This is never intended to be a sales vehicle, but great. Thank you. GeoLeads, thumbs up. Use that, drop a pin, do some circle prospecting, drop your just listed, just sold script, and let's jump into what you would then do next. As I would say, the next action point is what are the ideas you have for agents right now, as far as news sources, toilet paper resources? How do you be that person of value? Can you go through some of those things that you're saying, and then where you're sourcing those from to build that list to know what to say and do?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, I've pitched this on my show also. I really think it's important to limit the amount of time that you're watching the news, because that news is going to bring you right down, man. So you got to stay connected, but holy smokes, make sure you limit it. So I won't allow myself to watch that stuff more than 10 minutes a day. I watch it, but I try to get out of it. So where am I finding my sources? I'm in. And listen, if you're not, this is your first step. Get into all the real estate groups on Facebook. There are 5, 6, 7 huge real estate groups that I'm in that have multiple thousands of people in each. If you don't know of one, go find me on Facebook, DM me, and say, what groups are you in? I'll send you the biggest 3, 4.
Can you mention them right now?
Let me look them up here.
Okay.
I'm going to find I'll find the exact names of them. There are 2 really big ones. I'll give you 3 big ones. So one, it's got a 411 in it. One is Realtor Space 411. Realtor 411 is a really well-run one. Another one is Real Estate. Let me just make sure. Yep, Real Estate Mastermind. 3 words. Real Estate Mastermind. That one's got 64,000 people. Another one I run is called the 7-Eleven Accountability Group, and it was what you and I were talking about a month or 2 ago, where the whole purpose. I don't care if you got RedX. I don't care who you got, but you're going to make calls, and you're going to get in front of people, and you're going to post it. And there's a ton of not just agents in there, but these are agents who are actually doing it. So you've got the top 5, 10, 15% of agents in that group, and these guys are putting a lot of great information in there. So any information that I get, I'm trying to vet. If I don't know, I'm trying to look into it, because you don't want to spread information. The other day, the Fed rate the other day dropped to near 0. Everybody put that out, and people took that as, mortgage rates are 0. No, mortgage rates are not 0. But if you're a realtor and you're not thinking that, or maybe you don't even know that,
right?
I can see how that rumor gets spread, right? So it's really important to, I think, don't just post an article, because 80% of the people, 90% of the people are going to read the headline, and boom, that's going to spread like wildfire. Like, take a little bit of responsibility for you're posting.
Yeah.
And I like to read through the article, make sure it makes sense, it's by a reputable source, maybe check a couple other sources, and then I'll post 2, 3, 4 bullet points, because I know people aren't going to read it, and I know they're going to appreciate reading my 2, 3, 4 bullet points and not having to dig into the article, which they should do, but I know they're not going to do.
Right.
So I'm going to help them, right? And now they see me as the source of all the good information.
So I feel like you're starting to illuminate 2 tracks here. I'm moving my hands like I'm moving a turntable here, but one track is, I like it too. One track is the prospecting track. What do you say on the phone to your customers? And that source of information that we're talking about can go through the phone, but then you're also talking about this other track of posting things. And so a lot of our audience and agents are used to prospecting over the phone. And so I'd like to first make sure we cover that approach for those who are most used to using that as the medium of message delivery. So if you could run us through, again, going back to some of those sample calls, or give us a sample of those conversations you're having as you're, instead of waiting 3, 5, 6 months, just run us down that list and let's hear what you're saying to those people. And that way our audience can have an idea of what to do and say.
Yeah. And I get asked all the time, what's your script? I mean, that's one of the biggest questions I get, especially in that 7-Eleven accountability group. I think this is my opinion, right? You talk to 10 of us, you're going to have 10 different opinions. My opinion is your intent needs to be to help, and you can build a script around that 3,000 different ways, right? So I don't like giving scripts. I do post a lot of my cold call videos so people can see what I do, but I want you to take it and make it your own so you're comfortable with it. But when I'm calling people that are on my CRM, these are people I've obviously talked to at least once, and we've built some level of connection in the past. Usually what I'll say is, hey, it's Joe with eXp Realty. We talked 2 months ago, and you'd said that you were interested in selling your house. There's a lot going on right now. I just wanted to follow up and see, how are you doing? How are those plans? What can I help you with? And then I just shut up and I listen. And whatever they say, I treat them like my grandmother. I treat them like my kids. I treat them like my wife. And I help them in the same manner I would help those people. There's no sales pitch. There's no nothing. And, you know, a lot of people talk about overcoming objections. I think you're overthinking it a lot of times. If my wife has an objection, I'm going to have a logical conversation with her and walk her through what I'm thinking. I'm going to ask her questions about what she's thinking so I can understand. And I guess literally from a sales aspect, I'm overcoming objections, but in reality, I'm just using common sense. And I think you need to treat everybody like that.
So if I understand the process correctly, because I'm trying to give step-by-step instructions right now, is one, join one of those groups, find out what all is being talked about. Join them all. And we'll post those in the links in the show notes and resources of the videos wherever you're watching this. And then step 2, call up your geo lead in this case and start just to ask that one simple question, which then opens up your ability to know what to pull from what you've read, right? And so if you're starting to see a lot of, hey, I need toilet paper, and then you use that open-ended question to know what to say next. And then if you hear something enough times, you're going to go and research or look up how to be better the next time. Is that the process?
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of these agents, like I said, there's 60-some thousand agents in that one group, right? They're posting stuff all the time. And if you read in the comments, you're going to see, well, that applies to California, but it doesn't apply to Florida. So you're going to learn so much so quick from the professionals in the industry. And then you can take that information, you can post it. You can take that information, like you said, when you're going through your CRM number or calls. That's great information because those are a lot of the answers to the questions that those people are going to have.
You know what's great about what you just said is you really just simplified it. If someone were just to get on the phone with the heart and mind of saying, what do I need to know in order to serve, right? That's kind of what you said in the beginning. What do I need to know in order to serve? You get on the phone and you're asking. One of the methods we use here to help build the content for all our audience is essentially a couple of questions. Where are you at? What can we help you with? And then we get the cheat sheet, if you want to call it that, and then go build from there. Then we go do our resources and our research. And so I think for the real estate agent watching this and saying, what do I do and what do I say? You just unlock like the basics of content creation, and whether it's writing or speaking, you've done it now over the phone.
Yeah. And think about what you have questions with right now. Like this is a very unique situation. None of us have ever faced this. And you have questions. I have questions. If you list your top 10 biggest questions right now about whatever your worries, fears, whatever are, and I list my 10, 7 of them are going to be the same. They're going to be the same. People have the same questions. Go find the answers to those doggone questions. Be proactive. Be the hard worker that you're claiming to be all this time. Go find the answers. Call up the people. Deliver the answers. And when you don't have the answers to a question, go find the answer to that damn question and get back to them.
So part of this session, because there is no game plan for how to respond to this, and we're making up as we go day by day. A little bit of these sessions get into free form, kind of like, okay, here's some ideas. Let's mix it up. Let's brainstorm. And like you and I get to play with that. And then everybody watching gets the benefit of our conversations. In fact, Jay Kinder, after our first episode, said, dude, we got to connect. We've got so many ideas. And we had like kind of a mastermind session on what he and his team are going to do with some of the conversations we had there. So what you just gave me was this. Telephone, find out what the questions are.
Yeah.
If you don't have the answers, get their email address, right?
Oh, that's
right.
cool. For a million reasons.
Get their email address to say, hey, this is my brainstorm idea right here. I'm going to get back to you because I'm going through and I'm calling everybody who's important to me, something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to find out the answers to these questions. I'm going to post them. So now you call 100, 500 people. You're probably going to get, like you said, 10, 15 of kind of overlapping answers. Then you get to put together a blog post or a video or an audio or a Facebook post. And then you get to call or email those people back, closing the loop, delivering the value, showing up in a way that's meaningful.
Yeah. And I'll give you 4 examples of me delivering what a lot of people would consider as unique help to people, right?
I'd love to hear it.
In this market. So number 1 is if you're calling people and they're talking about, hey, I lost my job, or hey, I didn't lose my job, but I'm not getting paid until I go back to work, whatever it is, you can tell them, listen, now this again comes from one of those groups I'm in. You know that you can call up your lender and you can either reduce your payments from now until, whenever, or you can defer those payments. And how the bank is going to respond to you depends on the bank. Would you like me to look up the number that you'd have to call with your particular lender, and I'll email it to you? Now I'm providing help because you don't have to look up that number. I'll look up that number, but I need your email. So now I can put you on my weekly email through Constant Contact, and I can stay in touch with you or whatever you're using. And I can keep in touch with you forever. But now I'm the guy who didn't just talk about trying to buy or sell a house with you. I'm actually giving you something for nothing. I'm well aware that you're having a tough time money-wise. There's probably not a lot of business that's going to happen between you and I right now, but I still want to give to you. That says a lot to people. Number 2, you can offer a market analysis. People are worried, what's my home worth right now? This is some crazy stuff going on. So what I've done is I'll actually go through. Now I'm a little more comfortable, right? I can hop on and do a market analysis in 10, 15 minutes. So I will hit the record button on my screen from my house. I can look up all their information on the Coney website, and I can say, okay, this is how many square feet you have. This is your age. This is the development you're in. I'm going to go through. Let me open up the MLS. Okay, I'm looking within 1.25 miles of your house. I'm looking up all this stuff, and they're seeing what I'm seeing as I'm doing it live. It's all recorded. I'm not doing it in front of them. I'm doing it at night in my boxers at 8:13 at night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I upload that to YouTube. I make it an unlisted link, and then I can share that link with them. But hey, I can't share it unless I get your email address. Now I get their email address. I can stay in contact with them for the rest of their lives. I'm going to give them that video. They can watch it whenever they want at home on their couch in their boxers. And now they know this is how Joe feels about the value of my home right now in this market. And they've got that. And I can see on YouTube how many times they've opened up and looked at that. So here's the third thing. Weekly market stats emailed throughout this crisis, because what happened last week is different than what's going to happen this week, which is different than what's going to happen next week. And once this whole thing passes, you don't know what those next 5, 10, 15 weeks are going to look like. So, hey, Mr. Potential Seller, would you like it if I sent you specific market stats to show you how many houses are going pending? Are the numbers going up or down, or are they staying stagnant? I'll give you those numbers, and I'm going to give them to you from the perspective of someone who's concerned about this market. Would you like that? Cool. Give me your email address. I'll send it to you weekly. People want that. They want that. They don't want to deal with you. You're a salesman. I want to sit at home quietly, privately, and look at your email when I want to look at it. Cool. Let me get your information. I'll do that for you. And the fourth thing is I've connected older folks to delivery services. They don't want to go out. They don't want to be around people. So I know people who will run errands for you. I know people who will pick up groceries and bring it to your house. I know people who will do all kinds of stuff. If you don't know, figure it out. Once you find those people, I just say, hey, I got 3 people who do this, this, and this. Would you like it if I emailed you their information, and you can call them whenever you'd like, and they can help you out in this time right now? And then you get their email, and then you send them that information. You say, hey, good luck. If there's anything I can help you with, let me know. But listen, those are just 4 I just came up with in the last couple days. And some of this stuff is proactive, but a lot of this is I hear the problem, I create the solution. Just listen to the problem, create the solution.
All right, well, that wraps up today's episode. Joe Rosen dropping it. We got everything we need. I'll go home and get into work, get into action. No, that was great. I think the team's going to love taking what you just said, how clear and put it out on social, on Facebook, on Instagram stories. Thanks for always following us and giving us some love on Instagram, by the way.
Yeah, man.
So I know you've had a metrics system in the past, the points system, and we had talked about that before. If you could briefly just refresh us on what that point system is, how maybe you've adapted it to work towards productivity and positivity.
Sure. So this was Quintavious Burdett idea. He is a Remax guy, and he did over 100 deals, or maybe it was 100 deals in his first year, which is ridiculous. I don't know how most agents, if you handed them 100 deals, could maintain that. But he was just phenomenal. So the big question is, okay, guy who did 100 deals in a year, how the hell did you do it? So he said, hey, I came up with a 4-point system, and the 4-point system goes like, this is how I remember his, but I've kind of curtailed a little bit for me. If you get a pending deal on the buy side or the sell side, the day that both sides sign it, boom, 4 points. You're done for the day if you want. If you get a listing and it's signed, boom, 2 points. You're already halfway there, right? Because you only got to get 4 points every day. If you have a face-to-face planned meeting with someone to talk to them about real estate, buyer, seller, investor, whatever, that's 1 point. And if you have an unplanned, and when I say unplanned, I'm talking like cold calls, door knocks, someone walks into your open house, you meet somebody at the supermarket, whatever, and you talk about real estate. So for me, I have to say, hey, I'm Joe Rosen with eXp Realty. If you get that out and you have a conversation about real estate, that's a 0.5 point. So at a minimum, if you have absolutely no appointments, no listings, no pending deals, all you got to do is make enough calls to have 8 conversations with people, and boom, you've got your 4 points. And you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to try to get 20 points every day or anything like that. And it's cool. It's cool if you get 20 points, but you don't need 20 points. You need 4, and you need to maintain the consistency. 4 is not like the ultimate goal where you're going to go and crush it. The problem people have is you can do 10, 20 points in a day, but people aren't consistent with it. Just do 4, but do it every doggone day you work.
I can speak to the value of that. For maybe posterity's sake, bought a domain called consistencycoach.com. There's nothing on it, but I have in my own personal life gained knowledge about how important it is to do a certain, whatever that threshold is. I've got essentially a 3-point system. I run 3 miles a day, and I've seen just by maintaining consistently. By the way, I'm on day 480. Four in a row of 5 days.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I've learned how to build that habit, how to build that into my life. And when you say consistency, my whole body kind of comes alive and wants to share that. But this is not about me right now. This is about you. I just wanted to drop that in there and help us understand right now how you've adapted that 4-point system when those typical descriptors, those typical points that you would go after aren't necessarily available. How are you keeping yourself accountable with that system given, I would say, the new ways of doing things right now?
Well, I mean, it's really not that challenging to, like for me, and everybody's point system is going to be a little bit different, right? But for me, all I got to do is say, hey, this is Joe Rosen with eXp Realty. They know I'm a realtor. They know they have the option of using me to buy or sell a house. They get it. And I know they get it because a lot of times I get, listen, I'm not looking to sell my house before I've even said anything other than that. So I know that I could help them buy or sell a house. So if all we talk about is toilet paper and how I can hook them up with a delivery service, that's a great conversation. And that's a 0.5 point.
That's 0.5 point. How do you get 4 points now? Just wondering. I mean, is that...
Yeah, so if I get 8 of those 0.5 point conversations, 8 times 0.5 is 4. So there it is. So if, like I said, you got no business going on, everybody can make enough calls to get... I'm guessing here that to get 8 conversations on average, it probably takes me maybe 100 to 120 calls. That's a guess. Yeah. So let's say it's 120 on the high end. Well, I average 141 calls an hour. So I need to call about 50 minutes ish. That's quick math. It's not tough. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Because from last episode with Colton Lindsay, he said something similar, but from a different point of view. You have a point system. He has, I would guess you'd call a calendar appointment system. And so he says right now you should be looking at your calendar and making sure it's filled with appointments and conversations. And so I'd say go back and listen to yesterday's episode with him to get into the details of how he generates appointments right now. Yeah. But in his outcome, your outcome is points. his outcome is measured in appointments. And so
Appointments, yeah.
How he's doing it is really interesting and unique, but that's for last episode. We're actually getting a question right now. Would you mind jumping in there with me, Joe?
Yeah.
So Judith asks, how long do you believe we will know the market value stays effective, right? I guess in your estimation, if you're doing CMAs, how good do you think those are going to be?
I mean, it's really hard to tell. It could be day to day, it could be week to week, it could be month to month. And I think what's more important than answering that question, because I don't think any of us know the answer to that question, is the fact that when you're giving people these market analyses, you explain that. Hey, listen, this is what I'm looking at right now. Everything I'm looking at says your home is worth 280. But you need to realize that when I look at these numbers and I'm looking a month ago, your home was worth 290. Right. So you see right there a $10,000 drop. You see what's happening in the markets. You see the stock market. You see unemployment. Like, you can watch all these things just as I can, and you're going to get a feel for it. If you want me to give you an updated market analysis in 4 weeks, just reach out and let me know. What a great reason to get in touch with these people again and get another contact. And now you're starting to build a real relationship. This is a person who really trusts that you're going to reach out to them consistently over time and give them the information that they need to feel comfortable.
I think also to add to Judith's question is to have her go maybe research a little bit of what actually determines value, right? And then if she could explain that to people as she delivers it, right? If incomes drop, if unemployment increases,
yes.
And then that creates defaults. Defaults usually sell at a discount, not a premium. And so if you're in a neighborhood that's prone to being affected by such things, that could have an impact, kind of the way the stock market works, but I would say on a slower basis, right? Yeah. Every time a stock is bought or sold, that establishes the new value.
Yep.
And so same thing inside of our homes. Our home, I guess if you could look at it this way, homes inside a neighborhood are shares of stock for that area. And so every time they're bought or sold, it fluctuates the area. And so I would say that's the best way to kind of couch a delivery around what's happening, what could happen in offering market value analysis under these conditions.
Yeah, great points, man.
I keep trying to bring forth things that I learned yesterday from all the great speakers and then kind of hear the next guest's perspective on them. I thought this was a really interesting shift that if agents, especially our audience of prospectors, could start to look at their telephone not as a prospecting tool, but in this market as a networking tool. And so instead of trying to create listings and sales and appointments in the usual fashion, your job is to network with people. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've been doing a lot of different things through social media. A lot of those things that I'm saying I'm sharing through my CRM calls, I'm also posting on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. I've started to set up Zoom calls where I'll just hop into Zoom by myself and I'll post on Facebook, hey guys, I'm going to be in Zoom between noon and 1 o'clock. Come check me out. And I've had multiple people come in and say, hey man, what's going on? What's going on with the markets? How's your business? Showing homes? I'm not selling any homes in those rooms, but you know what I am doing is I'm building relationships for the future. And that's another way to reach out. And I'm looking at my list here. Zoom rooms. I'm doing lives with local business owners because they want help. They want to be promoted too. I've got a big following in my area. A lot of the people in my area know who I am. They know that I'm going to pump people up in this area. And if I think you're running a good business, a business that helps a lot of people and people are interested, let's get you on. Let's talk about your business. Let's talk about what's unique about you. Why do I, Joe Rosen, someone who makes no money from your business, love you and your business? And I want to share that with people. And you've got more time now than you normally have, right? Because people probably don't have as many listing appointments. They don't have as many showings. So you need to figure out a way to stay in touch with people. And I think that those are great ways, not only to stay in touch with people, but to do it where other people are able to, like you and I right now are connecting, we're building a relationship.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of people watching us do it also. So those people are getting the secondary effects of this, also building a little relationship with you and I.
When I worked with Jay Kinder back in the day, they had their vendor program they talked about, which are really kind of two levels to it. And I feel like now's one of the best times to go into vendor referral partnership creation mode. We did mention this on one of the last episodes. And so I'd love to kind of set that up as the theme for the next part of our conversation and then ask you specifically,
Yeah.
What are some of the businesses that you're reaching out to? How are you reaching out to them? What are you saying to them? And then what are the next steps as far as getting you and them in front of your different audiences?
Yeah. So locally, I run the biggest. It's called the Port St. Lucie Networking Group. It's the biggest networking group here. And we really focus on how many dollars you're making per meeting, per person. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get in, be efficient, get out, right? If you're in my group, I'm promoting you. But if you're in my group, it's because I love you and it's because you're doing a phenomenal job. Your customer service is up there. If your customer service is not up there, you're out of the group. If you don't show up, you're out of the group. If we get bad comments from some of the jobs that you do after we've referred you, you're out of the group. So if you're in my group, there's a reason you're in my group. And if you're in my group, I'm going to promote you to everybody on the Treasure Coast. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows if you're in Joe Rosen's group, you're probably pretty damn good at what you're doing because he only lets certain people in there. So people get a good reputation right off the bat.
What kind of businesses are in there?
I missed that. You cut out, my man.
Sure. What kind of businesses are in that group?
So I've got the typical real estate businesses, right? I've got a title closer, a lender. We've got an inspector. We've got a painter, handyman. We've got some social media people who do a lot of, we've got Live Russ, man. Live Russ takes all the brand new rookies we get in the group and he'll actually do a live with you normally, right? Not in times like these. So he's been pretty helpful. We got a cleaning gal. We've got a guy who sells health insurance. We got someone else who does all the other insurances. We've got a tax accountant. We've got, you name it, man, we've got it. It's the people who really, when you look at a lot of these moms groups, and by the way, guys, if you're not on moms groups on Facebook, that is where the gold is. You don't have to be a mom. You can be a big bald-headed dude, and they'll probably let you in. And again, your intent is not to help people buy and sell houses. Your intent is to help them with whatever they have. Guess what? The result of that happens to be that they're going to ask you to buy and sell houses with them. But just come in with the intent to help, and that's what's going to happen. But yeah, we've got all those different folks in our group.
What's moms groups? I could take a guess, but why don't you tell us?
Yeah, so it's really out there. This is my opinion because I've never ran a moms group, but it's really local moms. So they've got like a Port St. Lucie mom, like all the cities, right? Stewart, Jensen Beach, Fort Pierce, all the cities around here. They've got their moms groups. It's similar to, but not the same as a garage sale group. In a garage sale group, typically it's people giving away or selling stuff or asking for referrals, right? Like, hey, who knows a painter? Who knows a cleaning lady? In the moms groups, they do a lot of that same stuff, but you also get like, hey, I've got a 3-month-old and I need to feed them something. I'm a horrible mother and I don't know what to feed them. Can you guys help me with whatever mom problem I'm having? And then the moms all chime in and help this person, right? Or I'm looking for a job and I don't know what to do. I've talked to this many people. So again, right there's a great one. I'm looking for a job. Has nothing to do with me helping you buy or sell a house. But when I see that and I know someone's looking for a job, I connect to in a private DM and say, hey, Bob, I know you're looking for someone to do ABC. Sandy here said she used to do ABC and she just lost her job. Do you think that would be a good fit for you? And I've connected so many people in this area like that. And instantly, those people love you. They appreciate you. You're providing them value. So if there's any tip you get out of this video, it's quit thinking about buying and selling houses and just think about truly helping people.
It sounds like you've really put on the thought of becoming the connector in your local space.
Absolutely. The connector. Yeah.
So let's talk about the steps to that before we move on to the next topic, because we've got another question coming in. Is you have created a networking group online.
It's a personal, like you meet in person. Okay. It's online right now, but once this passes, yeah.
Yeah, you've got an in-person group. You've got an in-person networking program that also is now online. These are all vetted businesses that you have chosen for whatever particular reasons, and you fill in the rest here on this, but you like their business, like their service, you trust them to do a good job, and then you invite all of your customers or sphere of influence to come into this group to ask questions or find services, or it's mainly you're keeping a line separate between the two, and as you make your cold calls or as you make your sphere calls, that you're listening for what's needed and then you go into that group? Which of the two is that?
Well, and I don't know if this directly answers your question, so let me know if it doesn't. But I'll give you 2 examples of how I use these folks in my group, right? When you're a buyer and you close on a house with me, I come over a couple days later. Again, a great excuse to get in front of your clients 3 days later, maybe ask for a Google review or a Zillow review. And I bring over, I don't think I have one right now, a laminated sheet, and it's got all the people that you might want as a new buyer. It's got, hey, use Jesse as your painter. Hey, use Jeff as your tax accountant. Hey, and it'll say, use Joe's name, get 10% off. Use Joe's name, get $100 off. And so it's got this whole sheet of all the people that I love and trust. And I always give it to the people and I say, hey, you're going to ask me for referrals over the next 6 to 12 months. I know you are, because everybody does. Feel free, but here's the cheat sheet, man. Here's all the answers to most of the questions you're going to have. And if you use my name, you're going to get a discount. That's a quick and easy way. Another way is when you're in these moms groups and everybody's saying, hey, I need a painter right now. I've trained my group to go on, like, have Jesse the painter's card saved beautifully in your phone. So you can say, and don't just, like, I've trained him on this. Don't just say, Jesse, paste card. Say, Jesse is a great painter. I've recommended him numerous times and everybody has been phenomenally happy. He's professional. He's always on time. Great communicator. I love Jesse. All those words really stand out. Then you post his card. Then you reply to that and you take 3-4 more people in our group and say, hey, Angel, Sandy, Tom, and Bob, don't you agree that Jesse's the best? And then they start posting cards saying, yes, 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 yes. And now we take over the groups. And everyone in those groups uses everyone in my networking group.
I love that. I'd like to connect some dots before we make the next move here. And it sounds like prospecting, how most of the people who watch RedX and pay attention to RedX and use RedX as a service, they use the phone through prospecting. And so right now, the geo leads, reaching out to your network, drop the normal script by your recommendation, ask, how can I help you? Listen for the questions, listen for the pain points, write them down, collect an email address. And now it sounds like you've provided two real major resources that then anybody watching this can go and either tap into or create. And the first one is those groups you mentioned, the Facebook group. Hey, I've got this question. You could go type that question in and probably the group would help you answer it if it's not already answered. So that way you start to build that list and provide the content for your sphere and your audience. The second one, it also sounds like, which you have kind of a leg up on, but not impossible to start right now, by reaching out to local businesses and possibly creating an online networking group, which is, hey, if there's a specific question that those people are asking that someone inside your networking group can answer, now you've scored doubly, because now you're helping those people and you're helping the people that you're dialing.
Yeah, 100%. And remember too, like, you're thinking, okay, you just helped Jesse the painter, but what does that do for you? Like, I got it. You're helping other people. Well, listen, if all you're here to do is get greedy information, let me give you a little greedy information. When they say, what realtor am I using? Jesse and Angel and Bob and Tom and all those people who I've been recommending over and over and over, they post my card 1,000,000 times on those posts. So guess who gets all the phone calls as the realtor? So it goes both ways, man. But if you focus on just helping others and forget about you, it always pays dividends, always.
So Dr. Robert Cialdini, if you're not familiar with that name, you and others who are watching this should go look it up. As a marketer, he is like he's on the pantheon of books. His book is on the pantheon of books you have to read. And his book is called The Psychology of Influence. And he's got 6 or 7 key elements, and wildly interesting book. And the one that you're talking about right now is just a natural human, almost instinct to do back in favor to others who have helped you. And he calls that reciprocity. And so if somebody just wanted to go tap into the value of reciprocity, doubts the value of reciprocity, go read all the scientific stuff he's published about it. There's a reason why we and everybody who's in marketing knows that book, reads that book, references that book, because it's a proven human biological, almost can't ignore it fact that if you do something positive enough times for one,
True.
2, 5 people, they are going to naturally want to help service you, serve back to you. And what you've just mentioned is a system based on that principle of influence.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man.
All right, let's pop into the next set of things going on here right now. We've got a question from Jay, just the letter J, and they're wondering, how is the market by you? I know we just kind of entered this new space. They're wondering, have things completely shut down in Port St. Lucie as far as transactions? What's happening?
You're talking to the wrong guy, because last week I got 4 pending. I was at an inspection today. I was at an inspection 2 days ago. I'm personally staying busy, but I think, well, who knows? I mean, I'm a little biased, but I think I get a lot of people who were on the hook, and when all this started going down, they said, let's do it. So we'll see what the next 2 weeks look like.
Sure.
But I did look up, now this is 2 days old, but 2 days ago I looked up 3 3-day periods. The one 3-day period that was closest was hot, like Corona was hot, baby. The one before that, it was, and the one before that, we really hadn't heard about it locally, at least. And it had 15 pendings, 13 pendings, 22 pendings. So you could see a drop in those pendings. Mm-hmm. But the next 2, it actually had an uptick, although, you're talking 13 versus 15. So, but I'm also seeing that listings are dropping. So I've seen that about 5-6% of our listings have dropped off. So I think that you are seeing like all of the, if you're thinking about a beer, right? You've got the beer itself, 80-90% of the glass, and you get the foam at the top.
Yeah.
The foam are those sellers that I'd like to sell, but I need to get 20 grand more than it's actually worth. Well, you just blew all that foam off the beer. Now you've got all the motivated sellers in there. And when you look at the buyers still in, it's not the unmotivated buyers, it's the buyers who need to buy. So you've got motivated buyers, motivated sellers. Here's the problem. The problem is the perception. The problem is the perception of the buyer is, I can come in 20, 30, 40 grand low because of Corona.
Right.
And sellers aren't having it. Like I remember 2008. It takes months to get sellers to buy into the reality, because we don't even know if it's reality yet. This might last 2-3 weeks. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it doesn't matter what I think. We don't know is the answer. So all I'm telling people is, for sellers, if the market drops, if the market goes down at all, it's going to take sellers months to get on board with that and actually drop their prices. And buyers, it's going to be really difficult to get them to come up in this market. So those who can negotiate better, those who are more experienced, those who have common sense, and I hate this term, but can handle objections. I like to say they just use common sense and talk it through. Those people are going to do more deals naturally. And those who are more amateur and new and less experienced and don't know how to handle those negotiations as well, it's going to be tougher. But yeah, those are literal numbers that I've seen from my personal market down here.
I just want to add a little bit to that before asking you some of the tactics that you're going to deploy or already deploying as far as actual practical virtual elements. But for the audiences and the people watching this who enjoy doing a little bit of lookup and research on their own, I always like to kind of find a little study or link or concept to Google. And that when I studied psychology back in the day, every good marketer should study psychology. There is the science of grieving and loss. And so when loss is an individual or the loss is financial, right? There is another proven, I would say, path people follow to get there. And I think if we're looking to sellers and wondering when are they going to start to capitulate if things don't turn around, I think you can look to this process to kind of get some timing. It's just called DABA. There's denial. This isn't happening. Anger. Oh my God. There's bargaining. Oh, please make this better. And then finally there's acceptance. And then once they get to acceptance, that's, everybody has their own path to what makes sense for them based on their conditions. But I think if we start that DABA process is going to start to play out if things do get to the next level. And that's when buyers and those low offers will start to be accepted.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but I want to warn people. Like I did just have one. I was on it today. And they came in $45,000 low, which on that one is 15%. And they did get it. But there were a slew of other things that made that happen, and I don't see that continuing to happen. Even if this market declines, in my experience from 2007 to 2009, it's probably going to take a good 4 or 5 months of negativity for sellers to actually latch onto that data process to go through.
Yeah. Man, we're getting some great questions, and whatever we just said, people are really interested in hearing about. I want to cover them, and I guess we'll have to delay the tactics and tips for the very, very end. So let's talk about sphere of influence and why right now, or do you believe the value of sphere of influence? Why works sphere of influence? Is it important? What else is there?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you got to remember, I've only been in my market. Can I brag a little bit? And this isn't me bragging about me, man. This is bragging about, I'm going to brag about RedX a little bit, and I'm going to brag about hard work. I've been in this market for 35 weeks. Now, I'm not a rookie realtor because I did do this, but it was a while ago, right? I took 10 years off. I was in the Army. Down to 35 weeks. I just looked it up the other day. And when you look at my sales and pendings, I'm in the top 4% in my market. The only thing I do, and this pitches you guys a little bit, and it pumps up what you just asked me about. The only thing I do is networking, social media, and RedX. That's it. And that put me in the top 4% in 35 weeks. So when you ask about your sphere of influence, number one, my sphere of influence is 35 weeks old. That's a pretty young sphere of influence. But I picked my sphere of influence. And it's really funny because the first time when I was up in Minnesota and I knew all those people up there, I had an actual sphere of influence. It was just my buddies. And I was 23 years old, 24 years old. So guess who I hung out with? A bunch of young, drunk, bankrupt, like people with 411 credit scores, right? That was my sphere of influence. Or other realtors, which how many homes am I going to sell them? I didn't think to reach out and find the best people in the area. Who's got the money? Who's got the credit? Who's got the influence? Who's got the businesses? Who employs the people? Who's managing the companies? Didn't think about that. Now it's all I'm thinking about. Those are the people I'm meeting with. You own a big business? Dude, let's get on and do a live together. Let's do coffee together. Let's talk about, I don't even talk about real estate. How do I help you build your business bigger? And if you come to your sphere of influence and all you're talking about is how you can help them, I promise you it's going to come around to you. But just do not, for me, my opinion is forget about real estate for the next 4 or 5 weeks. Just literally help people. And they're going to come to you and ask, hey, I need to sell my house. This is tough. Can you give me a little bit of information? Whatever it is. They're going to do it. I'm getting people in my networking group right now who are asking me to give them market analyses, and they don't want to talk about it out loud. But this is just the first steps. And we've never talked about real estate. It's just been helping.
So let me collapse that a little bit down because I feel electrified by what you just said. I loved it. You just totally ran with that. And so let me ask, why is now sphere of influence more important than ever?
People are stuck in their houses, man. So nobody's at work, or a lot of people aren't at work. If they are at work, they're at home. If they're at home, they don't have oversight. So guess what? They got the news on, they got Facebook on, they got Instagram on. They don't always have that at work, right? Maybe before they were working 8-10 hours a day. Now they're sloughing off. They're working 4 to 6 hours a day, if that, right? So the guy running the show is like, yes, sloughing off. I see him smiling. But you're getting more exposure now than you've ever gotten. If you can share that exposure, take advantage of it and share it with the people in your community, the people in your sphere of influence, and you can help them, you're never going to get more views than right now. This is the biggest time you're ever going to get views, ever. I hope so. I don't want more views than this because it takes something like this for this to happen.
I'll tell you, I'll back that up in my own world by seeing one, just on my own personal Instagram and Facebook stories, right? You can probably use that as a test. If you want to go test out how much attention is being paid right now, I'm getting double the amount of views on my stories and posts than I normally did.
I noticed that.
I've been, and then you've been noticing that too, right? So the attention's there. So that's like, right? That wasn't there before like this. People were distracted. And then even watching some of our own agents report numbers back to us as far as the number of connects they're making on the phone, those have also doubled. So people are sitting around and attention is up for grabs. And so if you're watching this right now, you probably might be doing something else, but you're watching us. We have your attention. That's proving the point that people are looking for ideas, hopes, and motivation, and they'll get it, especially if it comes to them.
Yes. And I can't push enough. Right now is the time to be a leader in your community, right? So you can use Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. That's what I use, or whatever other weird technology you're using, because I'm too old to figure it out. But be the leader. Don't be the person who's saying crazy stuff. Don't be the person who's don't be the question asker, be the question answerer. And that doesn't mean you know the answers. It means you're going to seek the answers out, and you're going to go and make everybody's life amazing by answering all their questions proactively without them coming directly to you. You just saw a need and you filled that need by giving them a solution. And be the leader. And when this all eventually goes beyond us, you're going to come out of this as the person who's the go-to person, not just when it comes to real estate, but when it comes to anything. You're the person who connects us to jobs. You're the person who connects us to information. You're the person who gets us groceries. You're the person who gets us houses. That's who you want to be.
I'd like to double down on what you've just said, Joe, by sharing something personal. That way, anybody who's listening to this saying, yeah, but okay, and they're feeling hesitancy to it, no matter what stage they are at in their business. I'll speak from where I was 10 years ago. I was completely wiped out after the last recession and we'll call it mortgage meltdown. Started over at zero, and I didn't have money, but I had a lot of time. And what I did, and this is going to be amazing for you to hear, is I got on the phone and I networked before there was social media. And I met Curtis Fenn, who's now the president of RedX, over the phone. I met Jay Kinder through networking and asking around kind of through a networking group. Met KCM's founder, Steve Harney, through networking. And I could keep going on and on and on and on. And what I did, because I didn't have money, but I had time and ambition, and I created a network of people that when the market turned around, which it eventually did, I built this relationship with them. And I have worked with every single one of those people. They have hired me. They have paid me. I'm sitting here at RedX right now because of something I did 10 years ago at the depths at the bottom of the recession. And so it has paid dividends. It took a while, but I stayed in contact. I created great relationships. And then you and I now get to be here right now because of that, because you don't know what's going to happen. And I always said magical things happened in my life every time I picked up the phone. So whenever in doubt, and I'm sitting there just like, oh, I don't feel good. And what's happening? I realized that was the signal that I needed connection. I made it happen. I'm sharing that because I feel like that needs to be heard and said, because this is such a great opportunity right now to build your own sphere of influence of partners and relationships and future buyers and sellers. I can't say more than that.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. That's an awesome story, and it really resonates. And I think a lot of people can chalk that up to, I mean, they can draw out the sales process, right? He picked up the phone, he made the connection, he reconnected, but really it was just you putting a ton of energy in and doing the right thing with great intent and trying to help others.
I can only look backwards and see the dots connect, knowing what it was going to lead to. I could never have predicted that, the hundreds of thousands of dollars I've made came from, I would say, 5 phone calls, right?
Yeah, but you don't know which 5 they're going to be. You have to make a load of phone calls because you don't know which 5 it's going to be.
So thanks for helping me bring that out and share that story. I hope Amanda, who's watching this, who asked the question about how can new agents with a small sphere continue to network effectively. I feel like you kind of touched on it, but maybe we can directly answer Amanda's question as the last thing we do.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a couple examples because, again, 35 weeks ago, I had 0 sphere, right? So before I got down here, I knew I was coming down here. I get this question a lot from agents that are moving to different markets. I sent out 7,000 Facebook requests in the 6 months prior to getting down here. That's all I did. And if you somewhere on your profile said that you lived in Port St. Lucie or you worked at a place that was in Port St. Lucie, you got a friend request. And it was about 55-60% of people that agreed to those friend requests. And then I had a 48-second video that I shot them in a DM. And it was just a very chumsy, like, hey, my name's Joe. I'm in the Army. I'm moving down. I don't know anything about Port St. Lucie. Can you talk, like, where should I live? What are the great restaurants? I really appreciate it. Anything you give me is great. It was very folksy, right? I sent that out to all of those people, And I didn't just get short answers back, man. I got DMs that were this long, and it was us going back and forth, and it was so friendly. And I built instant connections before I even got down here. I knew who the players were in this area before I got down here because people in those 7,000 Facebook requests with all those DMs were telling me. Then when I got down here, I built the biggest networking group there was. And it's not like a BNI group, but I just thought I'm not going to be dependent upon somebody else running this group. I want to run it. I want it to be big, and it will not fail. And the only way I know it's not going to fail is if I'm running the doggone thing. So I'm running it, and people are crushing it. And I am making, like I told them on day one, listen, I want you guys to bring visitors, but if you don't, it doesn't matter because I'm going to fill this room for you guys. I want you guys to give referrals, but if you don't, I'll give enough referrals for all of you guys. And it inspires them, it pushes them, and now they believe in you, and then they want to do things for you, and then they want to do things for each other. But if you bring that fire, if you bring that inspiration, if you bring that leadership, and you find the people who truly have the influence in the area, and you help give to them, you build them up, they're going to want to give back to you. And that, for me, that's how you build not only a sphere of influence, but a sphere of influence that actually has influence within a community.
Oh man, a sphere of sphere almost.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. I wish we could spend more time diving into more and more magnificent ways that the powerful Joe Rosen comes up with. But that's all the time we really have for today. Just a quick bunch of housekeeping. Joe, stay with us. We'll continue the conversation after we end the live, but just want to let everybody know what's happening the rest of the week. Again, just taking it up to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. We've got Ricky Caruth, we've got Dirk Zeller, we've got Jason Norris, we've got a live prospecting session with Blair Ballin, a RedX customer who's been prospecting expireds for years. We'll find out what he's actually prospecting tomorrow, what he says, what he does. He is going to show and tell without fear like he always does. And so we're demonstrating everything we have to help you get getting everything you can out of everything you got right now, knowing what to say, what to do during times. And so if you want to continue to get updates and you're watching this live, you're not already on the list to receive emails when we go live, go to the redx.com/blog, wait for the little pop-up. It'll be very, very clear what to do. If you're on YouTube and you're watching this, scroll down to the description. If you're on any of the other social channels, look into the description for the link to come to the site and get the updates. We've already got over 1,000 agents who've signed up in the last couple of days to get these things. And so it's popular. We're helping tons of people. And I want to give a shout out to the whole RedX company and team. Everybody's taking it to the next level and come together during these times. And so I just want to say everyone's hustling, and it's an amazing time that brings people together. And so I'll wrap up by saying, stay safe, stay positive, stay clean. I'm Justin Zimmerman. See you tomorrow with another episode of the Stability and Opportunity Podcast.
Thanks, my friend.